Hello, and thank you very much for joining me. My name is Will Simpson, an ambassador for Upwork, and today we will be discussing beginning your freelancing journey on Upwork. Now, please know that what we'll be discussing, these different tips and suggestions, are based upon the best practices of other talents such as yourself, but know that each business is different, and as always, you are responsible ultimately for analyzing and determining what will work best in yours. So, to kick things off, let's get started with a quote from our CEO, Hayden Brown. Upwork provides access to freelancers and agencies with over 8,000 skills in over 80 categories of work. And this is something we're very proud of, expanding these categories of work, and we're excited to show you how you can bring your skills to this marketplace. So, how do we get started as an independent professional on the Upwork marketplace? For us to understand that, let's look at the entire journey to getting your first job. We're going to discuss how to create your profile, how to search for jobs, submit your first proposal, participate in that interview with a client, and then manage your contracts and payments. We will also be discussing resources that can help you as you continue on your freelancing journey. So the first thing we want to focus on is creating your profile. You will want your profile to articulate your personal brand. Let's take a look at this profile and see what some of the features are. As you can see in this example, there are quite a few areas we want to fill out. We have the professional headshot, we have the detailed title, and a well-written overview. We want to make sure that you're including any relevant work history and any targeted skill sets. We want to include a professional portfolio sample and any certifications you may have earned either on the platform or through other certification agencies, as well as an introduction video. Now, you'll want to use all of these areas to fill out your profile with the information that really defines you as an independent professional. Are you a writer? Are you a graphic designer like myself? Or perhaps you write code? Regardless, this is where you'll explain your specialty and get clients interested in you. Now, if you're one of those people who has multiple specializations, you can create multiple profiles under that one main account features to feature any specialty and any relevant experience. Now, when creating or updating your profile, you really want to be specific about your skill set so that clients can see what makes you the right choice for them. So once you begin to build out your profile and begin working on Upwork, you'll have the chance to earn a few badges. Now, as you grow your freelancing business on Upwork, we want to acknowledge your success by helping you stand out with these special badges. Now, the talent tier system will award you with public-facing badges on your profile as you build your reputation on Upwork. And each one of these badges comes with different perks. So be sure to check out the Upwork Help Center to learn more about the requirements and perks associated with each badge. The first badge I'd like to highlight is our Rising Talent badge. So once you've completed your profile and begin submitting those proposals, if you qualify, you'll receive automatically a Rising Talent badge, which says this person shows high potential in their early projects and their profile. And you would have this badge on your profile until it's inevitably replaced by a job success score, known as a JSS. Your job success score, or JSS, is a score you get based upon your client feedback, and it's an indication of whether your clients are satisfied with your work. Now, this is calculated through a combination of both public and private feedback, your long-term client relationships, your rehire rate, and any contracts that may not result in actual work being delivered. So your job success score can change with each project that you do. So if you happen to get a less than perfect feedback on any project and your score happens to drop down a bit, don't worry, don't get too discouraged. You can get it right back up there by doing a fantastic job on your next project. The next program is our top-rated program. Now, if you have a JSS or job success score that's above 90% and you've done strong work with multiple clients, as well as having a 12-month earnings of at least $1,000, you qualify for this program. And this badge will give you increased visibility to your clients, and it shows that you are one of the most successful independent professionals in your category on Upwork. Now, there's also the Top Rated Plus program, which means that you meet all of the top rated requirements, as well as you have had success with at least one large project on Upwork. Now, large projects are defined by the contract value, and that value varies by job category. Now, many enterprise clients on Upwork are specifically looking for talent that can complete large or complex projects. And this badge is visible to them and really helps you stand out. Additionally, there may be an opportunity for you to earn the Expert Vetted Talent Badge. Now, currently this is only an invite-only program for freelancers with the most in-demand skills. And this badge is awarded after completing a rigorous pre-screening process, which includes both a technical skills assessment and a live interview with an Upwork talent manager. You can access your own statistics at any time under the My Stats option, located under the Find Work dropdown on the Upwork homepage. It's a great tool for understanding your performance on Upwork in comparison to other talent doing similar work. It shows you various insight as to how you work and how you reply to invitations, how clients engage with you after you submit a proposal, all sorts of good stuff. These insights are available on My Stats and can give you insight into potential opportunities for you to improve your success on Upwork. So to recap what we've covered so far, you can earn badges, you can build your job success score, which is your JSS, and eventually become a top rated or even expert vetted on Upwork to accelerate your business. So you might be wondering, what kind of clients are there on Upwork? The clients can use the marketplace through 3 different programs. There's the Upwork Basic, the Plus, and the Enterprise. And they decide which program they will utilize based upon the nature of their projects and how often they'll need to hire freelancers. The enterprise clients are typically companies that are looking for independent professionals to assist on larger scale projects. And you'll see that the enterprise clients are designated with that little enterprise badge, which makes them very easy for you to identify. So now that you've created your profile and you know what types of clients there are here on Upwork, it's time to start looking for the first job. So there are 2 primary paths to earning on Upwork. And note that you can absolutely use both of these paths, or one of them. It's completely up to you and your business. I always like to say the more lines in the water, the more business you get. So the first option for finding a job on Upwork is to use the job search feature in the Upwork marketplace, visible here on the left-hand side. You can enable filters to narrow down your search, such as payment verified, project length, and you can also filter these based upon your experience level, the category of work you're looking for, the budget that client has, and things of this nature. The second option there on the right is a project catalog. And this is where you can list the services that you provide and any tiered levels of deliverables. So with this method, the clients will peruse your available project types and they will choose the independent professional who they feel best fits their project requirements. So I consider these 2 sort of like a push versus pull method of getting clients, and both work very well. So when you're reviewing job posts to apply to, you need to ask yourself a few questions. What technical skills do I need to have? Is there a deadline I need to be aware of? What are they actually looking for? And what questions are they asking in the job post? Now, these questions will help you evaluate if you're actually a good fit for the client's project. So when we take a closer look at a job posting such as this one, we can see important information not only about the job, but also about the client. It lists any preferred qualifications they're looking for, which help you judge whether or not you'd be actually a good fit for the project. And it also has information about any activity on the job post, like how many other proposals have been submitted, and whether or not they're actively interviewing candidates for the work. All of this information is really helpful in determining whether or not you want to apply to this project. So another way you can get a project is to be invited directly by a client. Now this happens if a client happens to find you via the talent search function. It looks very similar to our job search function, just from the other perspective. And they will go ahead and apply you to their job. And when you receive that that invitation to interview, you're not obligated to apply or accept it, but you may want to think about whether you're a good fit and if you're available to take on the job. If for any reason you decide you're not a good fit for this job, or you're simply unavailable to do the work, like you're on vacation or you're busy on some other projects, it is recommended that you decline in an expedient manner. It will not negatively affect your statistics by declining an invitation. However, being proactive in responding to these invitations, regardless of accepting or denying, helps show your professionalism to clients and ensure future invitations. So here's an example of what one of those invite notifications will look like. So be sure you keep an eye out for them. So now let's say you want to apply for a job and you're ready to submit your proposal. It is important to write a proposal for each job that reflects your relevant experience, your expertise, how you would approach the job. And in doing so, this will help you stand out among the other freelancers also applying for that same work and show clients that you are qualified and ready to take on this project. Now, there's not really one magic formula for a proposal that wins, but if the client is asking questions in their job post, then that's certainly a good place to start. Make sure you answer those. Giving examples of the work you've done with past clients is also a good practice. Now, if you want to ask for opinions on your proposals, or maybe how to get started on proposals, go over to the community, the Upwork community at community.upwork.com. There are lots of experienced professionals on there who can give you advice, share their own experiences on submitting proposals, and help you get started. It's a fantastic resource for any freelancer, whether you're just getting started or you're ramping up your freelancing experience. So here is what a proposal may look like to the client. And this one's great. It's clean, it's clear, it has examples attached. So what we're looking for is evidence that they've read the job description by answering all of the questions and addressing how they'd approach the project. They have relevant samples and experience. They have unique qualifications and skills, and they reference professional but personal approach to communication and requests for an interview, what I like to call a call to action. Next, let's talk about connects. The connects are tokens that you actually use to submit those proposals to the jobs you're interested in. With the connect system, our goal is to help you win more projects. So to get started bidding on jobs, you'll need to use these connects. The connects are 15 cents each, and you buy them in bundles, and the jobs that you apply to can range from requiring 1 to 6 connects. Freelancers are given an allotment of free connects every month. If you're on the basic plan, you receive 10 free connects each month. And if you're on the plus plan, you receive 80 connects each month. And a quick note on the plus plan, it has an additional advantage especially for new freelancers. I still use it, and I've been freelancing for quite a while on the platform. It does allow you to see the high bid, the low bid, and the average bid, which when you're new to freelancing, especially on our Upwork platform, and perhaps unsure of what is a competitive bid, this is a good way to get a pulse. If you are bidding on the high side of the proposals, you need to make sure and support that proposal on why you're worth that, and you are worth it. So know your value and bid accordingly, okay? Invites from clients, are free to respond to. So if you're invited to apply to a client project, you don't have to use any connects when you submit that proposal. The same is true as if you're rehired by a previous client. You do not spend any connects to go ahead and create a new contract with them. Now, before a contract is in place, communication between you and the client cannot take place off of the Upwork platform. So now let's say you've submitted your proposal and you get a response. The next step is now the interview phase, where you'll speak with the client about the job, ask any questions you have about the project, and your client can complete the interview through Zoom directly on the Upwork platform. And this is where you want to make sure you're asking questions about the scope of the project, what the deliverables are expected to be, and any deadlines and rates associated. Make sure you get all of these questions answered before you start the work, because you really don't want to be in a situation where you deliver work to the client and they say, Will, that's not what I wanted. So you're interviewing the client just like they're interviewing you. This is your business, and you want to make sure that it's a great fit for both of you, or else what are we doing here? So make sure to get very clear on how you'll communicate, where you'll communicate, what you will communicate, and who will be communicating throughout the life cycle of the project. If the person you're working with is only one half of the decision-making process on their side, perhaps it would be wise to invite the other half to that communication channel. It depends on project to project, but these are good questions to ask. So, and again, I'll bring this up a few times, but you are not allowed to interview external to Upwork, as those communications cannot take place off of the Upwork platform until you have a contract in place. And even then, it's advisable to stay on platform just for a solid record, should you need any support. So if you have a skill that may be harder to demonstrate, or if you simply just want to show off your skills to your client, you can suggest a test project. To do this, the client would set up a new contract and maybe a single milestone, and this would let them pay you for your time while getting a very clear understanding of your skill set and capabilities. So for example, let's say that I wanted a picture of a cat in a certain art style. You could draw something in that style to show your skill and prove that they should move forward with working with you. But no client should ever ask you to work for free, and they're not allowed to under the terms of service. So again, know your value and don't give away your work for free. It's actually a pretty obvious red flag if you get a client that is unwilling to make a small investment to see if it's the right fit in their project. So know your value. When getting started with a client, constant communication is critical for long-term success, and it helps you really build that trust and lasting working relationship. Great communication and transparency can lead to clients working with you again in the future with full trust that you will get the job done. And I've found personally in my own Upwork experience, a lot of the clients that I started with have become repeat clients, meaning that I'm spending less time bidding on projects and more time on billable hours. So everybody wins. So again, before a contract is in place, we want to make sure communication doesn't take place off of the Upwork platform. So what can you do on the Upwork platform to communicate? Using the Upwork Marketplace, you can communicate with the client in just about every way you could need to. You can use a Zoom call feature via the Upwork Messenger app, or you could use the voice call feature on the app, or you could just simply send messages back and forth. I know I do with a lot of my clients. It really depends on the project and who you're working with. The Upwork Messages tools allows you to send messages, sort conversations, create rooms with multiple people, and attach files and screenshots, as well as my favorite, taking notes on a personal notepad so that each chat with each client has its individual personal notepad. It's a great way to organize all your thoughts. You'll also receive an email notification of any sent messages, and you can actually reply to them within your email if you need to. The Upwork desktop app is designed for collaboration and payment protection by allowing you to track your time on hourly contracts, as well as sending messages back and forth. Now, all of these options are safe and easy ways to start communicating with your client and keep an on-platform record of these conversations. Now, to protect your privacy, we suggest that you keep all communications with your clients on Upwork. Sharing information such as how you're going to deliver the work, deadlines, the criteria of the work, these are all crucially important. That communication is key to making sure you're building great relationships with your clients. So let's talk about contracts and payments. When it comes to Upwork fees, we charge you a sliding fee on a client-by-client basis. So for the first $500 you earn with each new client, the fee will be 20% of those earnings. Once you have earned a cent over that, so $500.01 all the way up to $10,000, that fee drops down to only 10%. And once you reach above $10,000 in earnings, it drops down additionally to only 5%. So we use this fee structure to really support and encourage long-term relationships, which benefit both you and your client. So now that we understand how the talent-client relationships work, let me talk about the two types of contracts that you're going to encounter. There is the hourly versus fixed price contracts. And at a very high level, an hourly contract typically indicates that you'll be doing ongoing work, not really specific to just one deliverable. For example, it's not delivering a customer support strategy document, which is a fixed price contract job, but instead it's offering customer support to an unknown number of incoming calls and emails. And if you work those hours, then you get paid for those hours, as opposed to a fixed price contract, which is focused on the completion of a specific measurable project, deliverable for a predetermined amount of money. So bidding on a fixed price job will look like this. It will show you the amount that you earned and what you receive after the service fees have been deducted. Similarly, this is what an hourly job will look like. It also shows you the final amount you receive after any service fees have been taken out. So there's no nasty surprises. We're all about transparency and making sure you can set yourself up for success. So let me dive a little deeper into each one of these. On an hourly contract, let's say you agree to answer customer support calls for 10 hours a week at $10 an hour. Nice round numbers. So let's say that you work for 7 days for a total of 10 hours. On that following Monday, the client will be charged the $100 and that money goes into escrow, meaning it's held there for 5 days so that the client can review your work diary, your hours, your submitted work, and if they have any concerns, they can bring it up if they need any revisions, whatever the case may be. Assuming the client has no disputes, the money is then released the following Wednesday. And as long as the contract is still active and there are tasks to do, the work continues that following Monday. So generally speaking, if you're using the tracker, there is a level of protection for both you and your client under the Upwork payment protection, which will be explained a little bit later. Now, it's important that you review the details of payment and protection, as well as the terms of service, to keep yourself safe and aware of what you're committing to before accepting any offer from a client. The time tracker on the Upwork desktop app exists so that you can log and track the time you work on an hourly contract. All you have to do is turn the tracker on for a specific contract and then begin working. The time tracker will take periodic screenshots of your desktop and it also tracks your keyboard and mouse activity to make sure that you are active during this time and that you're actually working for the time that you're billing them. Now, you may review this work diary before the end of the month to remove any charged time where you were not working, like you took a phone call or Facebook hooked your attention and you went down a loop for a little while, whatever the case may be. Also, if you have a dual monitor setup like I have here, both monitors can be tracked and you can select that in the settings in the actual app itself. So there is an option to manually track time. However, it's best to use this sparingly, or at least when you're working with a client that you already have that trust relationship with. It can also be used in the event of a technical glitch on your desktop app, if you like. But know that the hours tracked and logged with the time tracker are secured by the Upwork payment protection, but any manual time that you log is not protected by the Upwork payment protection. Okay? So in comparison, a fixed price milestone contract has different milestones along the way. Each one of these milestones is an opportunity for feedback. And upon successful completion of all the milestones and approval by the client, the payment is charged and the payment is charged to the client and then released to you. So the contract's total budget may be $100, but since the contract happens in stages, you get a portion of that money after you complete each milestone. Okay. So let's say the project is $100 split into 4 $25 milestones. This money will be held in escrow throughout the project. Then as you submit the work that completes the first milestone, the client reviews it and says, yep, Will, we love it, good to go. Or they may ask for a few tweaks. You go back and fix it. And once the client says, yep, we're good to go, they approve the payment, which immediately releases it to you. Once the first milestone is cleared, this client will then fund the next $25 milestone, which you'll be automatically notified about. And this process repeats until each of the milestones is completed and the whole project is done. Our escrow and payment protection system protects both you and the client from potential fraud, dispute, or simply misunderstandings. If the client disappears for any reason after you submit your work, although we hope it never happens, the funds in escrow will automatically be released to you after 14 days of them not responding to you. So that's why it's really important to make sure the client has funded the next milestone before you begin that work, because then you can know that, that your work will be paid for and your funds are protected. Now, also note that should you fail to deliver the work that the client wants, they are also protected, as the funds will only be released to you once they've approved your work, which can be done in several ways under the escrow instructions. However, the client does have an obligation to clarify what they want to be delivered and to ensure you know what they are expecting. But it's always good best practice to pull that information out and be super clear about it. So when your funds are available for withdrawing, you can receive a notification to Upwork. And at this point, you navigate to the settings and click Get Paid to access those funds. Now, the payment options vary a lot by location, as Upwork is available all around the world. So it's hard to speak to specifics about what's available to you wherever you are, but whenever you have funds available, you will be able to take it out no matter where you are in the world. And we continue to work tirelessly to improve the availability and convenience of the payment methods available to talent around the world. So what happens when you complete a job with a client? This is the point where you give each other feedback. And this feedback from your client helps other clients know how awesome you are. And your feedback on the clients helps other talent like ourselves understand what it's like working with that client. Because different types of folks like working with different types of folks. The feedback system is double blind and includes both private and public feedback. So you won't actually see the client's feedback until you give yours. Now, if you or the client provide feedback but the other party hasn't responded yet, the feedback submitted will automatically become public after just 14 days. Otherwise, assuming both parties have submitted the feedback, it's available immediately. Now, it is a best practice for the client to close a contract and then add feedback in the end contract form. Now, they may not know that this feedback is important to you. Know that many clients that are on Upwork may be new to Upwork, and it will take a little bit of guidance on your part to show them the way. So make sure that you are assertive in asking for it. And I actually recommend you take that a step further. I like, when I'm coming to the end of a contract, I like to ask my client, are you happy with what I provided? Have I provided everything that you need? And once I get that, yeah, Will, you rock, I say, fantastic. Let's go ahead and close out this project, and it'll prompt a feedback response. If you could just take a moment or two to fill that in, it helps me find amazing clients such as yourself in the future. And I found with a technique like that, when I close out a contract by simply asking for it, I get a lot of feedback, and it's all pretty positive because I've screened for that before I ask for it. Okay, so find your own method of doing that, but it is a good recommendation. So let's talk resources. Now that we've gone through the entire process of creating a profile, applying for jobs, the interview process, completing contracts, let's talk about some of the abundant resources you can utilize as you begin to work your way through all these steps using the platform. So please know that if you are seeing something strange or that seems too good to be true, it probably is. You should report it or at least reach out to us and ask our support team. We have teams working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to make sure our marketplace is as safe as it can be. And I personally have reached out to the support team on jobs that I thought smelled a little bit suspicious before. And they were so helpful, so supportive. So don't hesitate to reach out. We have fantastic teams in place. There's no reason for that burden to land on you when we've got people to take care of it. So never give out your personal information, such as your financial accounts or any other sensitive information. And remember that our terms of service require that you keep work from client relationships that you've built on Upwork on the platform. If you find a client on the Upwork platform, you need to get paid on the platform and must keep your project with that client on Upwork for a minimum of 24 months. If you wish to go off platform before that 2-year marker is up, you can ask the client to pay an opt-out fee. Also know that before a contract is in place, again, we've said communication cannot take place off the platform. This is really meant to keep you and your client safe and secure. Now, if a client asks you to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, or any other types of agreements they may have, be sure that you review all the details before signing it. Since Upwork is not party to your service agreements between you and the client, you need to make sure that whatever you agree to, you have revised and you're good with. If you and your client do not have your own terms or any service contracts, the optional service contract terms will apply. And these can be found on Upwork's Legal Center. So for more information about Upwork's role and the optional service contract terms, that can be found by reading our terms of service, including section 2.1 of the user agreement.
Don't forget that we have an awesome community at community.upwork.com, where you can get other freelancers' opinions and advice on a wide range of topics. And we have our own thread in this community about this webinar, so be sure and come find me, and we'll continue the conversation we're having today. Overall, it's a very active and vibrant community, and we're happy to have you be a part of it. Our Upwork Talent events page is about education. Education about the freelancing journey, skills on the platform, and more. It's a great place to find additional webinars to learn about not just freelancing, but how clients think and what's popular in the marketplace and things of that nature. Finally, if you have any questions about the how-to or more technical aspects that we spoke about, like the top-rated program, the Rising Talent Program, or Job Success School, the JSS, profiles, or anything of that nature, you can go to the Upwork Help Center and search for it there to get the answers you need. It's really well indexed, very easy to follow with digestible articles. So what do we focus on next? We talked about a whole broad range of topics here. So we want to focus on getting your profile completed to 100%. We want to check out the additional Getting Started webinars at upwork.com/community/events. And then last but not least, we want to start sending proposals on the work marketplace and or start populating your project catalog offerings. All right, so good luck and enjoy. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you next time.